Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. As you can see, I'm finally back at home and kind of settling for a little bit, hopefully for more than a couple days this time. So we have a response now to the accusation that was on Friday in the filing by Blake Lively's attorney that the content creators who were named in the subpoenas were apparently working at the behest of TAG, one of Justin Baldoni's former PR teams. They said that TAG's disclosures or their answers to the interrogatories were attorney's eyes only, and that they couldn't meet and confer with us properly because that was attorney's eyes only, and they couldn't tell us that we were named on a list. Well, I'll tell you myself, I'm not going to show the communications, but they don't want to answer my questions at all. I mean, they'll give me like a really vague answer, and then when I ask questions like, why do you need my bank information? Why are my IP addresses relevant to your litigation? I get nothing. So apparently it is not because I was on some sort of special list of people who worked at the behest of Justin Baldoni's PR team. So I don't really know where they thought they were going with this one. I guess they got a few days of people off their backs. But that was a really shitty thing to do. I'm not shocked, but it was a shitty thing to do. I'm going to go over a lot of this stuff as well as the letter that I had submitted with my friend Bruce tonight. But I do want to get through this update really quickly with you guys right now. So we'll break it down a lot more later. For now, I'm just going to kind of read it with you. Man, it's been a stressful time, but like I said yesterday, I didn't do anything. I didn't communicate with these people, not to my knowledge anyways, unless they misrepresented themselves on purpose. And you know, I've never smeared anyone on anyone's behalf. The thing I like about YouTube versus like my regular job is that nobody can tell me what to do. Nobody can tell me what to say. I do what I want. That's the best part, right? So that was really annoying, the implication, of course. And, you know, people ate it up. Of course, people ate it up. And, you know, I get hate on all kinds of platforms for that. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? All I can do is tell you the truth. And eventually you're just going to have to sit there with shit in your hands because you embarrassed yourself when you ate that up. All right. So we'll read this letter real quick. And then also we'll go through the, he's made a declaration, I think it was, Kevin Fritz, the attorney, with the copies of the subpoenas to Google, Twitter, and now TikTok as well. So I'm surprised they haven't sent one to Meta. That's kind of weird. So we'll see. Pull this up real quick. All right. So they wanted to, Blake's team was saying that they needed to de-designate the attorney's eyes only designation because that was somehow preventing them from communicating about this. And they said, or outright implied, that apparently we were working at TAG's behest on behalf of the Wayfair parties to smear Blake Lively somehow. And you can say they used the word apparently, and they'll say maybe that's technically not a lie. But if you ask me, in my opinion, that is very much a fucking lie. So it's disgusting. All right. According to the motion, a core component of Lively's claims is that the Wayfair parties are engaging in a smear campaign to somehow manipulate the apparently worldwide media landscape, using untraceable sources to portray her as the wrongdoer. Characterizing the so-called campaign as untraceable not only defies common sense, given that Lively knows precisely which news articles or stories, and the authors thereof, she takes issue with, but also undermines any justification for her ongoing effort to use this court and the federal rules of civil procedure to discover the untraceable. And when they say untraceable, it's literally like she just wants to know what everybody's saying behind her back. Or like, who said what, why? What are you saying to people about me? Why don't you like me? It can't be because you just don't like me. It has to be because somebody paid you not to like me. No, dude. I liked her just fine before her lawsuit because I saw her intentionally misrepresent the truth in a lot of ways. If you go back to her original complaint, not the amended one, the original complaint, and then you look at the stuff that came out after that, it's bad. It's really bad. All right. In any event, Lively contends that TAG may have been able to obscure its contacts in connection with the initial smear campaign in August 2024. That is an admission that, despite months of discovery, her receipt of thousands of pages of documents, and her service of dozens of subpoenas and other requests for written discovery, Lively has no evidence that the Wayfair parties employed a smear campaign or did anything in August 2024 other than protect their reputations as they are entitled to do when Lively's allegations were publicized. Indeed, TAG was not retained until early August 2024, rendering Lively's claim that in less than 2 weeks, TAG was able to turn the public against her incredible. I'm sure she could do it in faster than 2 weeks. It seems like she did. They didn't need to hire an agency for that. She did it all by herself. Unable to accept the fact that the public backlash against Lively was purely organic, the motion improperly seeks to blame TAG for Lively's sinking reputation. Without citation to any evidence, the motion alleges that the individuals identified in the interrogatory responses have spoken publicly about Miss Lively in this lawsuit, apparently at the behest of TAG and the other Wayfair defendants. However, the motion ignores the broad scope of the interrogatories, which seeks the names of those with whom TAG has merely communicated, concerning, among other topics, Lively, her allegations, or this lawsuit from May 2024 through the present. That is why the interrogatory responses identify those to whom TAG has harmlessly provided quotes from the Wayfair Party's counsel in response to media requests for formal statements in connection with legal developments herein, as Lively's legal team has repeatedly done. Yeah, okay, so that's just they're just giving an example of that, where they gave a quote there. 1 second, guys. The interrogatory responses are in no fashion an admission that TAG communicated with the individuals to tarnish Lively's reputation, as she falsely alleges. Lively will not uncover any nefarious efforts by the Wayfarer parties to convince anyone that she is anything or nothing at all. In fact, TAG did not communicate with any content creators about this matter or the underlying allegations until 2025, when requests for comments were preferred. Oh my god. Idiots. The motion contends that the interrogatory responses' confidentiality and AEO designations are having very real impacts in the form of content creators who are the subject of discovery, have already painted Miss Lively as the aggressor in this lawsuit, and have drawn a false equivalency between her discovery efforts and the Wayfair Party's alleged smear campaign. Yeah, okay, so I do consider someone an aggressor when she starts going after random public commenters, bank account information and shit. You can't even call some of these people creators, they wouldn't even consider themselves that way. I know, because I've seen them say I had 1 subscriber or I had 38 subscribers. You know what I mean? And it's not that they're not doing, good work or whatever. It's just if you're not like a monetized creator, then what the fuck are you going after these people for? Their bank records. You know what I mean? That doesn't even make any sense. Of course, those people are going to have no problem launching their stuff now. And that's the only, I think, benefit to all of this, because it's I'm not saying it's worth the stress of it, because I know that's really stressful for people who don't show their names and faces and are afraid of what she's doing to them right now. But at least, people were able to kind of find them and connect with their stuff. Because if anything, this had the opposite effect that she wanted it to, which is that those people have now been uplifted into a position where they can, make content for money. So, fuck you. That is a long-winded manner of saying that Lively blames TAG for the recent public backlash against her. However, the allegation is baseless. First, that the interrogatory responses are currently reviewable only by counsel, they cannot affect the public's perception of Lively. Second, the recent public backlash was seemingly triggered by subpoenas that Lively's counsel served upon Google, TikTok, and X, collectively the social media subpoenas, seeking all account information, including phone number and financial information of specific content creators. According to one article, if Blake Lively had been hoping to garner public sympathy in her ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit with Justin Baldoni, that now seems unlikely, given the backlash over her subpoena to Google for information about several pro-Justin Baldoni YouTubers. I don't know which, that's Yahoo Entertainment, MSN Entertainment or something. I haven't read that one. Third, of the various content creators and members of the mainstream media identified in the interrogatory responses, only one of them is the subject of the social media subpoenas. Therefore, the interrogatory responses and the designations thereof as confidential and AEO are irrelevant to the public relations mess that Lively has brought upon herself. Had Lively's counsel properly engaged in and continued the meet and confer process concerning the interrogatory responses, instead of filing the motion in a misguided effort to blame the Wayfarer parties for her public relations woes, a response of this nature would not have been necessary. Tellingly, the motion lacks citation to legal authority supporting the de-designation of the proprietary information contained within the interrogatory responses. The reason for that omission is clear. The motion was filed for a single purpose: to wrongfully foist upon Tag and the other Wayfarer parties the culpability for the criticism Lively has faced for her social media subpoenas. Tag covets the proprietary nature of the identities of its media contacts. However, Tag is dedicated to standing with the other Wayfarer parties to discredit Lively's false allegations of an orchestrated smear campaign. Accordingly, Tag does not oppose the motion and agrees to remove the confidentiality and AEO designations from its interrogatory responses. Nice. In return, Tag trusts that Lively will no longer allege that anything regarding the so-called campaign is untraceable. That's fantastic. Oh, what a bitch. All right, one second. There's a whole declaration we got to get through, but just give me some water real quick. All right, so this is the attorney Kevin Fritz for Justin making this declaration. Let me read these really quick, guys. Just Ricardo, thank you for the $2. Hi, Lauren. Hi, chat. Hope y'all are good. I'm a little better now. Kenny, thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate you. And Wendy, thank you for the $100. Jesus, keep fighting, Lauren. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's crazy generous. Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say to that. You did not have to do that, man. But thank you so much. All right. We're going to skim through this stuff here. Okay. Prior to filing the motion, I have to check to make sure I unmuted myself. I don't want to be an Omar. Lively's counsel did not serve Tag's counsel with a written notice stating with particularity the grounds for her objections to Tag's confidentiality designations, as required by the protective order. Instead, on July 1st, Lively's counsel sent an email to Tag's counsel asking if Tag agrees to remove the confidential and AEO designations placed on the interrogatory responses, and if not, to meet and confer about the issue. On July 2nd, I participated in a telephonic meet and confer with Lively's counsel about the interrogatory responses. During the call, I explained that the identities of the reporters, news or media outlets, and content creators with whom Tag communicated was proprietary to Tag, and the disclosure of which is highly likely to cause a significant competitive, business, commercial, or financial injury to Tag, and that such information constituted trade secrets, as contemplated by the protective order. Lively's counsel did not dispute the foregoing. And they certainly made it sound like this never happened. Like they just unilaterally decided this is attorney's eyes only and there was no conversation about it. That's kind of what it sounded like to me when we read her motion. Sorry, I'm just looking at this footnote to see if it's anything significant. Yeah, no, so they're just explaining that the publicist, Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's publicist, contended the AEO was necessary and given the competitively sensitive information that the publicists on both sides want to protect. So, all right. Lively's counsel did not explain for what purpose Lively intended to use the interrogatory responses or why she needed them to be de-designated. The next day, on July 3rd, Lively's counsel provided the Wayfarer Party's counsel with notice of subpoenas that Lively's counsel intended to and apparently did serve upon Google, TikTok, and X. True and correct copies of the social media subpoenas are attached here too. The interrogatory responses list only a few content creators. Okay. The social media subpoenas seek all account information, including phone number and financial information for specific content creators, only one of which is listed in the interrogatory responses. In other words, neither Tag nor its owner Melissa Nathan nor the interrogatory responses are the reason for the recent public backlash against Miss Lively, the cause of which appears to be the overbreadth of her social media subpoenas. Regardless of Tag's right to maintain the confidentiality of its proprietary business information without waiving any rights of the other Wayfarer parties and solely to foster the discovery of information that will further demonstrate that there is no orchestrated smear campaign and that the negative publicity surrounding Lively is purely organic, Tag agrees to remove the confidentiality and AEO designations from its interrogatory responses. All right. So this is the one on Google. The thing about these subpoenas, guys, with the TikTok one especially, I don't want anyone to like get a shock watching me read this and be like, holy shit, I'm on this list. This is a public document. It's gonna come out obviously, I think it might even be on Court Listener now where you can get it for free. I'm sure they'll post it on Reddit. It'll be on Twitter. I know that when I got that notification, I was kind of like, what the fuck do I do with this? Like, is this even real? Like, freaking out a little bit. And so I don't want to freak anyone out by my reading their name right here, right now. I think that that's something that I wish, obviously, Google and Twitter and TikTok were better about handling, notifying these people. Because I feel like everybody should have had proper notice before this became like a huge public thing. And this is unfortunate that people are finding out this way. So I'm not going to read through the subpoenas here now. I want to give people time to look themselves and say, like, am I on here? Am I not? So I just I don't want to ruin anybody's day like that. I think as much as it sucks to find out this way, I don't need to make it any worse. You know what I mean? So anyone can see all the names now. It's on Court Listener. Yeah, I hear you. I don't, like I said, I don't want to make it worse. So if there's a chance that somebody's like, okay, let me look and just see like if this is going to affect me or not, I don't want them to hear it from me on a live stream in front of everybody. So I'm just not going to read through the subpoenas right now. Plus they all pretty much say the same thing. I did skim through. So let me see. Raul Dobbins, thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to be back with my friend Bruce tonight. We're going to discuss this some more thoroughly. We will talk about what's in these subpoenas a little bit more. And then we're going to talk about what her attorneys had said on Friday, why that was misleading. And we'll kind of break down this letter a little bit more. But this dude, the way they use the court, like I said, this very much seems like a punishment for people with dissenting opinions, especially now that they were extremely misleading and intentionally to the point where they put all these people in the line of fire, knowing that they weren't on that tag list. I mean, I know a lot of attorneys, right? I've had a lot of my close friends that I've had for years and years are attorneys. Thank God none of them are like this. Because these are shitty people. Seven, thank you for the 14. Mirror on the wall. Blake got her biggest role of all. Evil played out with a wicked script on the largest stage. A true villain of our times. Stay strong together with loud voices. We got you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was a nice poem. All right, guys. Does anyone know what's going on with Candace? I have no idea. I haven't heard Candace talk about this in a while, but I know there's a lot going on in the world, and she talks about all kinds of stuff. So, Haley, thank you for the 10. Love you, Lauren. Sending you love and support. Don't let these bullies win. That is what they are. Bullies doing tremendous harm to so many regular hardworking people. It's not right. Well, thank you very much, Haley. I appreciate that. It always helps to hear that kind of stuff. So, especially when, I've been getting so many shitty comments. And it's kind of like on the bright side, I kind of like it rolls off the back a lot easier now, right? But at the same time, this isn't over, right? I still have to move to quash. The judge gave me until next Monday, to do that. So this is not over unless they somehow decide to withdraw that. But I think they're going to double down and say there's still somehow some untraceable smear campaign, which is, in my opinion, an absolute delusion. But you know what? Seeing this and just like knowing that I didn't do anything that they were accusing us of gives me a lot more confidence. So I'm not too worried about it at this point. It's stressful, but I'm not like worried. You know what I mean? It's stressful because I still have to do it. I still have to do the work and get through it, but it'll be all right. Okay. I will see you guys later. It'll be probably like 9:30 Eastern. I'm going to say probably 9:30 because I'm never on time. So, but I will be seeing you guys soon. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from some of my friends who have also been affected by this very soon. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.